Okay, so this is kind of like really quick, like my thoughts on the how to keep 12 to 16-year-old age group like engaged and invested in BJJ. So like, and for long-term growth as well. So first we're going to look at like the situation. So usually they're put into two ways they're put into this program, right? One is they're grown in, so they graduated by size, maturity, or skill, or they're thrown in, so their parents force them. Their parents are looking for like something's up, and their parents are trying to fix that something by putting them into jiu-jitsu. So there's two. Next is why they would continue. So three ways. One, identity. So their attendance is based on being a jiu-jitsu athlete. Like they love jiu-jitsu, they're into it, they're there to get better, right? This is like competitor level, or like your kid does jiu-jitsu and they're like locked in level, okay? Next is fun and friends. Attendance to have fun, see the homies. These are like the loud ones, like the ones that are always laughing in class and wanting to play games, right? And then three is the force. So sometimes these are like the nonchalant ones or the shy ones. And this is where the parents are forcing them to attend, and they get the parents off the back by showing up. So understanding that is pretty important with like when we're trying to get them engaged. The goal of the team's program is to go from this forced to fun and friends to identity, right? And we move from like a shallow reason to be there to like a deeper reason, right? Having the lifestyle and loving the craft, right? And then ultimately having a transition to the adult class and surviving that transition. So how do we do that? This is like the important part, the sauce, right? So one is build what you have with who you have, right? So if you have your own teens program, if you're looking at building one in the future, these are some things to consider. So knowing your students is the first step. Having them doing their sparring drills, cool moves, fun games. This is kind of like the amount that you prescribe is kind of based on the kids. So you need to communicate with the kids and ask them like what they enjoy, because kids are different. Some are there to scrap, some are there to learn cool stuff, some are there to play games, and you kind of like based on your room and the kids that bring the best vibe, you kind of like have to work with them to figure this out, what the best like balance is. And you make sure they're having fun and not quitting immediately. If one of those nonchalant kids come in, they're like, oh, this is kind of fun, like it's bearable and gets my parents off the back, versus if it's just like push-ups, hard training, the kid's out of there, like he's like, what is this, right? So next, to build on that, is you give some freedom to those people by choices. So getting to know them, you'll know if it's like easy, medium, hard, or like having different choices when you're doing drills and techniques. So sometimes I'm like, here's an easy, medium, hard version, or easy and hard. And then here's you can choose a single leg or double leg. It's not like you're, oh, okay, bro, you have to do takedowns. No, it's like your choices are you do a single leg or a double leg. You give them choices you're okay with. This is kind of like the trick with working with kids a lot. Same thing, submissions. So like teens love submissions, obviously. So being able to be like, okay, you guys work on rear naked choke. You guys work on triangle. It kind of like giving them options, especially at that teen age, is like huge to keep them engaged. You give them choices. Next is structure and sharing your passion. So this is like the power of preference. Kids and like us, we have like favorite colors, right? This kind of comes naturally, and you can't really describe why like a 4-year-old would say green is their favorite color, for example. Same thing for us. And like, I don't know why I don't like tomatoes or whatever. So with that being said, hopefully most of the kids that are there like normal games like dodgeball, spike ball, basketball, soccer, things like this that you can build on, give them a little bit of fun, and then at the same time you're throwing jiu-jitsu in there and they're like learning to enjoy and love the sport too. So with that, you're in jiu-jitsu as a coach because you're passionate and you love it. So you have to share that. You kind of like, passion is infectious. So you want to be able to like give that to them. So show them techniques and drills that you like to do. As if you grew up in jiu-jitsu, it's like show them stuff you liked as a kid. If you didn't, it's like show them whatever you think is cool now. And show them this in like as few steps as possible. Show them without too much detail, and then show them stuff they'll love, right? Like a hint is like subs and takedowns. I mentioned this earlier. For the teens age group, they love that. And then giving them the details and like the things that make the technique work, especially if you're a good coach, one-on-one. So you're correcting technique, be like, hey bro, like look at this is important, blah blah blah. Especially if they're choosing different stuff, this is a really good way to like keep them engaged and make it like it's a conversation between you and me, not a lecture for like the whole class. Next is growing leaders. So this is kind of like an interesting one I've been playing with, is to shift from that fun side to that identity side. This is a great way, and it also helps the flow of your class. So if you kind of like pick out these leaders, you tell them they're going to be leaders, it can kind of build their confidence for one. Maybe like they're anxious or whatever, and all of a sudden they're like leading classes and speaking and helping new kids, leading warm-ups, stuff like this. And you tell them, you tell the parents, you tell the class, you hype them up, you build them, right? You're growing them. So that's super important, and it gets them from the fun point to the identity point. That's the best way I've found. And everyone has their time, right? Not everyone can be a leader, but you kind of like the kids that deserve it and you want them to make that switch, you start pushing them. And for the strictness part, depends on, this is like a side note, depends on your space to student ratio. So if you have like a lot of kids in a small space, you might have to be a lot stricter versus a little bit of kids in a larger space. You can afford to have more fun, let loose a little bit. And that's probably what's needed in a smaller program versus in a bigger program. Actionable steps now that you guys like, you can take home right away, start working on it this week, is structure classes with fun. Make sure they're having fun. Games that you would like, that they like, and compromise. Like you're listening to them using these games. Or like even techniques or situational spars. You make it have some control from them as well. They're not just killing machines, especially if you're trying to build a program, right? Maybe once you're AOJ, have the best world-class kids in the world, then you treat them like adults. But for now, this is like growing. Show techniques that you think are cool. Share your passion with them. Especially if you can connect. I think they love stories. So if you can be like, when I was a kid, I loved the Berimbolo. And they start like clinging to that, or like, oh, I know this guy who he used to do the cartwheel pass and he was explosive and fast just like you. And all of a sudden you show them, they're using it, and things click. Like they start having their own style. They're engaged for stuff like that. Last one, start picking leaders, give them opportunities to lead, even like small steps, like leading a warm up or helping kids that are new, stuff like this. And then give them like the feedback, the props to build them up. Last thing, when they do make that switch to the adult class, bring them up with a friend. Like if you can, pair people that work well, that are like a good match, and bring them up together. There's nothing worse than like being like a kid that was top of the class and then you go and get smashed. Like it's good humbling, like some kids need it, but it's also good to have a friend and like be comfortable in your jiu-jitsu gym. So it's kind of like, especially at like that teens time in your life when you're switching over, I find like a lot of kids that are pushed alone don't make it, but the kids that show up together, they can keep that fun and social part of it as well, even into the adult class. So the last one is, if you have like one kid, they might have to be the pioneer to like move up. And with that, like if you enjoy training, maybe if you're small enough too, this might matter. But you train with them, you take them under your wing. Maybe like you invite them to your classes if it fits with the schedule, or you do the class for under a different professor with the kid. But you kind of like donate your time a little bit to like bring them up. This is important because soon they're going to be the kid like donating their time to help the younger kids come up. Like they're going to be the guy you're going to put them with. So this is kind of important for that switch at the end of the day. And then this is just like, it's almost like a video game. You kind of have like the levels to make them XP, bring them up, and you as a coach kind of like get to have that fun, and they can have fun being engaged going through this process. That's like all the best thoughts I have for you right now for having kids love, or teens love jiu-jitsu.